There you go.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 201. 201. Road to South by Southwest. I want to welcome TB on up. I hope you are doing well. Just know that we are in the middle of nowhere, and this space might get rugged here and there by Twitter, as we are in the middle of nowhere, but that's okay. TB, if you want to put in a request to speak, I'd love to have you up. Twitter has given me the slow poll on trying to do anything, so I'm more afraid of trying to bring anyone up that it might too hard. We just want to welcome people on up. And so, yeah. It's going to be a long night tonight. We have with us, as always, great co-host tonight. Hopefully they'll be able to join in with us. We have the wonderful Eskimo. Eskimo, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Just watching the road.
Just watching the road. Right now we just flew from, we drove away from East Denver. What a great time it was. Really. What was some of your takeaways from East Denver?
Let's see. There are a ton of projects building.
Yeah. What kind of projects did you get to see building out?
Well, I was walking around handing out stickers for pleb.
Okay.
But let's see, what did I pay attention to? I went over to see Cult Dow.
Okay. I saw Cult Dow too. What is Cult Dow about? Do you know?
Let's see, I started to read part of the manifesto.
Okay.
And then it reminded me that Poor Pleb had a plebifesto.
Okay.
But I think what they're trying to do is use capitalistic type principles. And choose projects that they feel will be, I think, profitable, but bring together community members to have a strong way of getting into them. I didn't get to talk to anyone there. I was just reading the manifesto, and it sounded to me a lot more like it wasn't exactly a political philosophy, but that it was a group of people who's very well aware of all of the scams and all of the things that can happen in crypto and all of what we're up against, or what crypto could be up against in terms of traditional finance and traditional money making, money printing. What did you take away from that?
I didn't get to talk to Cult Dow. I did grab the manifesto to read later. Talked with a couple of the layer ones that are there. Unfortunately, didn't get to talk to the layer ones until like day 3 when everyone was burnt out. And I say burnt out just because East Denver, we got there on the 25th of February, and we were there all the way until the 6th of February. And it went every day between the 25th to the 5th. So a lot of teams were just worn out because they were talking to everyone nonstop.
Yeah, there were thousands of people there.
Over 24,000 people.
And I think that someone mentioned that there was a smaller venue last year. I know you had said that you liked it, but I did think that venue was suitable for the amount of people that were there.
Yeah.
It could handle the crowd without it feeling like you couldn't get anywhere or get by anyone. but it still felt like there were quite a few people there.
Yeah. So last year, one of the main differences was like different protocols took over different buildings. So they had their own building. Like Near took over one building. Harmony took over a building. Algorand took over a building. Um, Unique took over a building. Uh, yeah, there was a couple different things. One of the really cool things learning, Algorand is making an EVM compiler.
Oh yeah, you had mentioned that.
And what's cool is, so I know the founder of Algorand, PJ, and I actually ran into him later on. And I talked more about it. He said he was at that event that we'd gone to, hosted by One Piece Labs and Algorand. And that's where they were sort of talking about it. But missed seeing PJ there. But yeah, no, they're making they have an EVM compiler out so that smart contracts can run on Algorand and bridge over. Um, Speaking of bridges, want to do a shout out to the family over at swing.xyz. Uh, all your bridging needs in one place. Oh my God, I sound like a commercial at times.
You can. I think you should keep it up.
Okay, well, we are not sponsored by Swing, but
Crypto Smooth Jazz.
Crypto Smooth Jazz 101.4, actually 201.1. We are a mile marker. We have 36 miles to drive till we get gas. We're gonna keep going. We'll keep going after that. But I don't know. So other conferences we went to. We went to Supermoon.
Yep. At the clock tower.
Yeah. We only got to listen to a couple of the pitches. I know Vadim from what is it? DexFi. He was talking about his new yield aggregator tool. So you don't need to go visit all the different dexes, but it has it all in one place and works to optimize without penalty all of your dexing needs. Sort of like Beefy, but aiming towards more the higher reward, low risk pieces, which is pretty cool. There was a couple other projects there. Didn't get to see them all, but a huge shout out to Blue Dow and Techstars. Glad that you guys were able to get that there and showcase all that Techstars does for founders within Web3. So that was pretty amazing.
I wish I had seen that. I remember when we went to the Blue Dell event in New York, listening to people talk about Techstars.
Yeah.
It seemed like a good organization. I didn't know much about it before that.
Yeah, no. Techstars are based out of New York. There's a couple others locations around the globe. Almost like a WeWorks type of situation, but incubator. Pretty cool. Founders become members, and then they advise the new projects that come through. Got to run into Amy and Miss Jess. Want to do a huge congratulations to you to winning all of your hackathons down in Bogota. Not sure how you did at ETH Denver, but hats off to you. I know you probably rocked it. There were some cool projects that won at ETH Denver. We got to listen to some of them at the end. There was one that sort of was really cool. Was a non-internet connected wallet, so that it could do transactions and process transactions without connection to the internet. And they even built a full working model for it.
Oh yeah, I really like that.
The takeaway from it that he said at the end was, do not use it other than on testnet. You will most likely lose your funds.
We created this since we only created this about 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah. They got the working up 3 hours before they spoke. But a huge shout out to all of those people that are doing those things. you know, uh, got to talk at Dow Planet. Um, Huge shout out to Dow Planet, Dow Denver, um, talking on the governance of DAOs with Shelby, Alexa, MakerDAO, and Gamma. Oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. Gamma, Mega. I'm going MGA DAO. That is all I remember off of that. Um, and I don't know. It was a real honor to be able to talk there, um, talking on DAO governance, and I was sort of the curveball of the group. Um, I tried reaching out to the group on Discord, because I'd been added to the panel, um, and with everything going on, no one had seen the messages, and yeah, but it was sort of funny how they had my picture up on the board, sort of like it was an NFT off to the side, just sort of stapled there. I don't know. That was sort of funny in my eyes.
Yes, I saw that.
So
They got you up there.
they got me up
You
there.
were up there.
Yeah. A huge shout out to Steve too. Helped out just a little, fill in some blank space. Um, but ThriveCoin, Daniel from ThriveCoin, really, really nailed it out of the park with his presentation on ThriveCoin, taking over MakerDAO and also ApeCoin DAO, or Bankless. I think Bankless DAO and ApeCoin DAO.
Yeah, I think he was using MakerDAO as an example of how, look how this can go. Not as predicted now, it or not as hoped by early members of the DAO.
Yeah.
I think um, okay.
What did you think about MakerDAO?
No, I mean, I think he was using that as a cautionary tale
Oh, yeah.
and saying that, you know, setting them up or how to, how I think the people that were up there had experience with how one had hoped, perhaps with rose-colored glasses, to see this type of governance work and grow and prosper and be more democratic, and are now realizing that there needs to be either certain types of thinking or guardrails in place somehow, in order for things not to be taken over by whether it's a nefarious actor or simply somebody who wants to gain control of the DAO.
Yep.
And that sometimes the way it's been set up, it's been easy to do that.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really honest about it.
Yep.
And honest about those issues so that they can be worked on, rather than, hey, this is all supposed to work out great. You guys are me.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you on that. One of the cool things too that sort of came out was a lot of cool connections with MakerDAO. I actually saw one of their tweets the other day where they were sort of making fun of poking fun at Uniswap's DAO governance drama lately that Uniswap's been having to deal with. And the meme was first time dealing with that. And like MakerDAO has gone through a lot. For those that don't know, MakerDAO is the DAO behind DAI, and producing and promoting the stable balance DAI token, stable dollar. So yeah, they do a lot.
But isn't Circle somehow involved in that?
I'm not sure. maybe as a contributor or as a financer, but I'm not. That's something I'd have to look up. Um, but it was a really good. Otter Lodge was talked about um, from Shelby. Otter Lodge has been used for a lot of DAO tooling rules. Because the standard is using Notion and Snapshot for DAO votes. And what was really cool was, sort of seeing all of the different tooling features and functions that different DAOs are starting to use or be created for DAOs to be able to do their on-chain governance, on-chain voting. And that's a really cool thing. I don't know. One of the things that I really liked about DAO Planet this year was all of the medical DAOs that were there.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to some of the issues they're trying to solve. I don't know if DAOs are going to solve them, but if I think what's happening is that people are finding that regulatory and legal systems are either not moving fast enough to deal with ever-changing issues in medicine and finance and documentation, and they need tools governance much faster than they can get, even though they have to fall back really towards regulation. And they're basically crying out for other ways of being able to govern and organize in these newer systems. Well, not newer systems, but newer issues coming up.
Yeah. And it's one of a lot of the health DAOs we're talking about was ownership of your data at following EU medical standard policy practices.
Yeah.
Having your DNA as an NFT, even that you can control who has access to and who's what tests are being done on it, but also that you get to benefit from that. And that's one of the really cool aspects of, your own chain type of ideas. Not only your digital identity, but your digital chain identity. Were there any other NFT projects that you got to see out there?
NFT projects.
Is there any PPs out there?
Yep, we saw a lot of Poor Pleb stickers. We're hunting for that $500.
Yeah.
We're trying to get people to hunt for the $500.
Yep. What's really funny is how hard it is to give away money.
Yeah, it was funny. I thought that was high. I thought it was a pretty good little bounty for people to go and find.
Yep. Yeah, no. It was a good bounty put up by Poor Pleb scavenger hunt. And so I was really interested to see how that turned out. So really going to do my best to follow up and see who won that, and see what kind of pieces were put forward on that. Any other NFT projects that you got to see?
I'm trying to remember right now. The thing that's coming up for me is not an NFT project, it's Teller, which I understand to be a competitor to Chainlink. It's an Oracle.
Yep.
But I think they do things differently, and they are not. I think they're a bit more decentralized. But I need to read up a little bit further about how that works, how they're getting their data, and what it means. What it means for them to say that they're more decentralized.
Yeah.
I know what I was coming to mind when I was thinking of uh, MakerDAO. Was that MakerDAO complied with a court order and upgraded their contract to allow them to take funds from the hacker's wallet. This was, again, in response to the court order.
Yep.
So, uh, that was one of the things I was thinking about. And
remember that. I remember us talking about that, you know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that if there's a technology that allows you to recoup losses that are legally or that a court is going to mandate you do or rule that you do,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room there. So you either need to make that contract immutable or understand that you're going to be complying with a lot of court orders.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's another solution that really involves insurance, but I can see that that wind up being really high cost of insurance.
Yeah.
There's another option, much harder, much slower, which is education, understanding what decentralization means, owning your crypto or having a custody. It seems to me that large organizations are not going to custody their assets. They're going to contract. They're going to use some kind of preferred and or I don't know regulated custody arrangement.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think custody arrangements could look like?
I have been listening to people. It doesn't seem like people are particularly happy with multi-sig arrangements for numerous reasons.
Okay.
It seems like people are trying to come up with other ways of doing that. I think I'm not aware. I'm not sure of all of the different industrial, call it industrial solutions for large balances, solutions for institutions.
To have DeFi pieces in play.
Yeah.
I actually haven't heard anything about complaints about multi-sigs lately. Just that they're not utilized enough, or that the keys aren't distributed well enough.
I think that that's. I think that they're probably seen as riskier for some reason.
Okay.
I think this is a tough one. I don't have this problem, right?
Okay.
I can custody my own minuscule compared to what we're talking about in the institutional world.
Yeah.
So I don't know and I've never been close enough to that particular part of banks to understand what those risks are, what they're thinking about. I would imagine that people are not going to be like right now. If you go to a bank, you have either operations people or like mid-level people are moving the money.
Yeah.
They're the ones keying in, sending in wires, pushing the money out.
Yep.
There are tons of controls in place, and I wouldn't recommend trying to steal money out of that system without imagining that you're going to get caught.
Yep.
But we still spend a ton of time putting controls in place and having internal audits of like if there was a internal bad actor, what could happen and what are the risks?
Yeah.
With a basically immutable, with a signature,
Yeah.
or a wallet like that, the risk of loss or mishandling, I think, feels much higher. I don't know how they're figuring out how to put controls in place to be able to sufficiently manage custody risk. I don't know. I would love to sit on some sessions where banks are talking about more custody, preferred or uh, trusted custody.
Yeah.
Resources are talking about how to do that.
I like a lot of the pieces with multisigs. I've used a couple of them over the years. I think as they expand on more chains, I think one of the only issues is majority votes, but then those majority votes, the keys are not distributed properly, and one person or one organization has all the keys. Um, they have a lot of cool pieces within them that are being upgraded to where, like a spreadsheet of withdrawals can be submitted, and then each line gets voted on, whether to approve or not approve. I think stuff like that, or even batch releases. So you were talking about keying in withdrawals for people. That being submitted at any level after it's been approved, and then each transaction having to be approved. It's one of those things where having to double check your work before submitting it, and then having other people sign off on it. I'm just sort of shooting off the cuff here, but I think that I see that as a two-edged sword. One, there's more responsibility because people are having to double check other people's work rather than just checking a box or sending an email, I approve this. But at the same time, there's the fear that it might slow down transactions too.
That is also, yeah, that is also something that could be problematic. You're moving and waiting for funds to land every day. I mean, the thing is, right now you'll have transactions in a bank where it's like literally the money has to hit by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning to then be moved out to the next place that's supposed to go by 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But then, most of the time this goes okay, but a lot of there are times when money doesn't make it yet.
Yeah.
And people have to go looking and calling and freaking out, whatever, about looking for like a bond payment or something like that.
Yeah.
That hasn't actually made it to where it's supposed to go. I don't know how the internal. I mean, obviously the money would move quicker, but if the money isn't there, it can't go.
Yeah.
So,
do you think it would reduce paper transactions?
I don't know. I mean, you right now. So, crypto lives in a world where the books don't really close.
Yeah.
At least in the sense of over the week or whatever. But the banking system does. They have, whether it's quarterly closes, weekly closes, daily closes, to be able to true up what happened. And I wonder how, for example, let's say I took that idea like a bond payment from again. So you're getting the money, it needs to hit an account, and then it needs to be routed to the next place. What would that look like in a crypto world
Yeah.
And what does that mean for keys? If people are going to have thousands of accounts that they're going to have to like be able to use keys for every day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that doesn't seem feasible. I mean, banks like use like one account. It's the account I have a reference, you know. So it's interesting to me like how that would work. The money would come faster. Do you need to have those closes on them in that way that they have them now? Anyway, that's kind of going down rabbit hole. It's not really.
That's a good rabbit hole. We can save that for later. I think one of the funniest interactions I had with someone while at Eat Denver, um, I got a shout out to Moonwell. Moonwell is launching out onto Build on Base with Optimism, their borrowing lending protocol, which is pretty amazing. Has some good returns, but also is really stable. Um, and so while I was at the Build on Base through Coinbase booth or little area, I got to actually talk with someone from MetaMask. And one of the questions I asked was, are the RPCs going to be locked for Optimism like they are currently for ETH, for Ethereum? And they were like, no, they shouldn't be. And I was like, well, look at this. You can't change the RPCs for your Ethereum.
And it used to be able to.
Used to be able to.
And
He knew exactly what version I should have. He was like, do you have 6.01? And I did. We went to properties and looked at the app, and he even did it within his own MetaMask. And he's like, huh, that's very interesting. That shouldn't be like that.
well, what I find interesting is that I thought that blew up over Twitter a few months ago. That everybody was having this conversation about the fact that the RPC settings have been set to Infura.
Yeah.
And people were trying to change them, and they were having trouble getting the when they did change them, they were having trouble getting transactions done.
Yes. So that's an interesting piece there. I do want to shout out to Jesse Pollock from from Base. Really great person. Really working to try to help different ecosystems grow within Optimism. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the market does with Optimism the coming weeks. We're having a slight retrace and going to be building back, I think, state where